Hey everyone, thought I would do a quick update. It's been a while, but I made good progress on our radiant floor system. I got it energized yesterday and it's currently pumping water to one zone, trying to heat it up. I had some fun figuring out the thermostats, so I figured I would show that clearly because I couldn't find anything online. So we've got a Grundfos system. We're using the Alpha 2 pumps. This is on 4. Here is the kitchen on. I just left them on auto and they seem to be working pretty well. They have a couple of different settings that you can choose to do forced, kind of stable pressure, and it will ratchet it up in terms of power consumption as well as the water that it moves. If you give it a sec, it'll go up. But anyway, we've been leaving them on auto. They're pretty neat pumps, and once the air's out, they're completely quiet, which is really neat. So anyway, this is a 4-zone Grundfos control board, and the fun I had was really around the thermostats. There's kind of the regular loop, right? The two that need to be closed to complete the circuit, but then there's the C, which is the common, right? So red and white are just into the appropriate. It doesn't really matter because again, you're just closing the loop, but this one here is the common, which supplies power back to the thermostat itself. So I took the cover off of this one down here for the gray room so you could see it. There's this jumper that goes between the red and the red heat. Since these are Tekmar 519 thermostats, they don't do cold. They're radiant slab only. They're simple. There's no programming. You just set it and forget it. But you've got to bridge this because this C puts power, 24 volt power into this, and then the red and the white are what's triggering it to turn on and off. This right here is the feed from the slab, and so I sunk the 519 comes with the slug. The 518 Tekmar does not have that, and you have to supply your own, or just use the air temperature, because these have built-in air sensors. So like the room is at 52 degrees, the slab's at 48. I've been putting some heat into this one, and it's up a couple degrees. So you can see the master is still at 48. The kitchen's at 51, which I've been putting power into. These 3 lights here are just behind the Grundfos emblem, which means it has power. And then zone 4 is currently pumping. So I labeled everything, and comes all the way over, and then distributes to the pumps as needed. So we did put in a primary circulation loop. So here, we'll start here. The water comes up into the house, out of the well tank, comes up this, comes across through a sediment filter, which is flushable, then a 30 millimeter particulate filter, and then this will go to the house. That right there will come out to the house. This feeds the hydronic system here. Right, comes up, I've got a bypass valve so I can feed it quickly, and then there's the pressure reducer to get it down to 15 PSI. There's another valve just in case I need it. So this right here is from the hot water tank. This goes up behind this expansion tank, and that's the air scoop, first stop. And then there's a circulating pump for the primary loop. So this pump is always on when any zone calls for it, and that Grundfos control board just handles that. It has the 4 zones plus the primary loop. And so these are just, you take this cap off and you just wire up your whips like you normally would. Then the heat loop drops down into each of the zones, right? It comes all the way back across each of the zones. And then it goes past that 4th zone, it drops down, and then these are the returns. And so if I look down here, you can see the heat is going out, and it's coming back out of the floor and going up into this return loop. Right, and so here it goes across, here's another return from zone 3, and so on back. And then as you can see over here, this goes back into the cold on the tank. That's the cold in the tank. This is the hot out on the tank. Inspectors came, and the only thing I had missed when I did this was there was no check valve on this. You don't want to have a situation where if this over pressurizes and pushes contaminated water back into your domestic water system, that would be bad. So putting a check valve on here solves that problem. So all told, things seem to be working well. We'll see whether or not the 4,500 watt hot water heater can keep up with it, but it was sending out at a much higher temp. It's now down to 70 something degrees it's going out at. It's coming back at this in the 60s. So it's putting heat in there. I'm only running this one zone, which is the smallest zone. It only has 2 send, 2 receives. It's probably got about 400 feet worth of pipe in there. So we'll see if it heats it up or not. We're gonna let it run like this for a day and see where we're at, and then turn on another zone. So fingers crossed. South Industries said that the domes can be heated by one of these, so we'll see. We'll see. Again, the fun part was finding this understanding the wiring diagram on these, but once you get it, it's pretty straightforward.